when I returned from 2014 after my first boot camp, what I did is I tried to replicate it in a different format, although not so intense. But I had to do re-engineering of everything that went in place, and it was hard to see kind of like the backstage, what happened, why things worked out, why other things had other purposes. I had no idea what happened. So what I tried to do is really create from scratch, and basically my sharing is the following. What I would like to do also is just not share the information, but also from the beginning, if you can see this kind of like an activity, and even to be able to get some conclusions out of it, and be able to get your feedback and some conclusions. What we had, and everybody that's there in the boot camp, we lived a very intense experience, which was, it was very difficult to try to explain it if you don't live it, but at the end, there's a big seed that's there. Returning back to Mexico, it was hard to do a boot camp due to the impact of the lifestyle and other challenges. So I would like to use is also to just be able to see at the same time that I'm talking, if you can just also can take notes of the different kinds of formats, and there are no pros and cons exactly, but there's a lot of learning that we can take in place to be able to see how we're going to apply this when we return to our homes. Okay, so first of all, there comes the planning phase, which was the personal commitment. And personal commitment is also not only the personal commitment, the time that you have to invest, which is a lot of time. It's also something that's behind what it is that you want to achieve. For me, it was really try to avoid frustrations and people to not take advantage of the opportunities, all the energies that they have to do business. And when you try to start a startup, you make mistakes, you lose totally the face and the objective where you're going. As you're kind of like in the sea, and this takes you wherever the sea takes you wherever it wants, unless you know firmly where you want to go. So that's kind of like start. So for me, it was to be able to show and to take the opportunity to be able to help people how to execute correctly. So then you have to find a team. What I did is that I started the boot camp by myself. It was very hard to try to transmit everything, try to plan these sessions before each of the 2-hour sessions that I had. It was probably 6-hour planning. So you have to have a team to really execute correctly. Your team also balances yourself. There's a lot of strength and weakness that you, by teaching, have, and we saw this at the boot camp. What I did is started researching over the persona. Locally, I did my primary market research. Besides having, and I had no idea that Bill already had the persona very clearly, which is ready to go, the curious, the corporate. I did that by myself. I went to high schools, I spoke to people, I went to universities, and I tried to see the different kinds of the personas that exist, and be able to see how to apply the boot camp or the content to the different people, and also to the local needs, which are you're going to see different local challenges. Then there was the time to be able to invest and see where the correct venue is, to develop the syllabus, and really not to try to only identify, but also to apply the different local challenges. So what we did is, okay, we set up, we tried to promote, we talked to different people, create workshops, do a student selection, and try to have the teaching process, but also with the culture in class. And part of the culture was to have that help, to see where can everybody help each other, and create that extension of MIT's culture inside the class, where everybody can share, communicate, experiment, iterate, and the idea here is to keep learning. We've done 2 boot camps in Mexico, and each of the 2 boot camps have been differently, and the next boot camps will be totally different. We're going to experiment on a lot of different things. So this is kind of like the team that I had. We have on the top on that David, which is inspired by, I don't know if Mary is inspired David or David inspired by the angel and both speak. We have Daniel on the bottom left, and there's MIT's full support. You have to have the advantage and take the advantage of the full support. You're there in the bootcamp. If you ask, I ask everybody, well, what's in it for MIT? Last year, I asked Bill, said, okay, this is incredible. It's amazing how much sharing that MIT says, but what's in it to MIT? How come so much sharing is it at practically no cost? And it's a huge impact that we can do to create. And his answer was, basically MIT has an objective, and the objective does not just sustain in MIT. This objective reaches everywhere in the world. So MIT really has the full support that it can provide you, so take advantage of the full support. Okay. Then the teaching process. We kept the same teaching process as MIT, having a syllabus. Even though the syllabus changes, there's a lot of iteration on the syllabus. There's a lot of different needs that are locally, which those things are taken into consideration. There's more skills or more best practices, cases in which, for example, what we do is create, we practically establish a case, and then everybody answers each of the steps based on the case. So we do iterate. Team forming, we have the liberty that was in this year's bootcamp. Everybody can have a 2, 3 people, 10 people team, and we even had people that work by themselves. Flip method, we keep the flip method in which people have to either see the videos, read the books, and in the class, we take advantage of the class, even though we do a little slower than what we had in the bootcamp. We take the time to go over each step to clarify and make sure everything is very clear. Mentoring and coaching, it's a big challenge. Since time is, you have to take into consideration that the mentoring is just a one-on-one. You don't have the full team to do it, and you have to do it during the class. Kind of provide the class, do mentoring, and in a certain way, work kind of like an acceleration a combination formula. Okay? And obviously, special guests are important to be able to get things out of the beat and have a demo day at the end. Okay? So what was our process? What we did is provided different workshops. We spoke to different associations, communities, schools, in which we present what's the expectation of the course, what are the contents. We even provided a small workshop to be able to give the small fundamentals of team building, of ideation, of primary market research, things that they're really, if you have the basic or the students have the basic, they can take advantage of the course. So it's kind of like giving a test of what the course is, but also to avoid the expectation of them working hard, because they're still going to work very, very hard. Even though we don't give it in 1 week, we do it during the 3-4 months. They still have to work hard, and if there's all the other challenges that they have to balance work, they have to balance school, and they have to still work very, very hard. So we provide along the workshop with some promotion materials in order for them to know when the course is going to start, the admission process, to be able to get the interviews, evaluation, and basically start the course. But we're conserving the same criteria as MIT, which is the focus on excellence, initiative, contribution to community, team culture fit, and the foundation of entrepreneurship. Okay. The venues, they're more of a class venue, and also providing the people enough workspace in order for them to apply the ideas and have time to work with their teams. And what has been our experience so far? We provided 2 courses. One in a local community, and that was my beachhead market, which was the community that I knew. And we provided 16 sessions. The classes were 4 hours per class, once a week, providing the team and consulting time. We added a factor here on this first bootcamp. We said, okay, human development is very important for them to have the skills, communication, negotiation, to be able to work based on the problems. And what we had was 2 different kinds. The people that were much younger, they did not really take the advantage of the human development. They didn't like it. And older people, but they really took advantage because people are more mature in order for them to apply a lot of development skills for their personal life. Okay, even though that we had no age restriction, we had no women on the course, which was not good for the course. And that was also part of our learning. And then we had another experience with ETAM. ETAM, Nomada is there as part of your team. You can see it on the center. And ETAM is one of the best universities in Mexico. Bill says it's the Harvard of Mexico. And when ETAM wanted to provide the course, Bill provided kind of like a feedback about us. And he said that we were the team that were able to provide the course. So that was very encouraging for us. It's part of the MIT support. And what we had is that ETAM did the promotion. We created a workshop, which was a pre-workshop during about 6 hours, in which the themes and ideas were much more clear. And then after about a month later, then the course started. ETAM, what they had is, there's a challenge. ETAM has a lot of hustlers. So what we did is we explained ETAM about the importance of the balancing of the teams, and we told them that if, in order to provide a course and have success, we have to bring in more tech people. And even if they don't have it inside, they have to bring it elsewhere. So this was mind-changing even for universities. There's a big university called Politécnico. It's not like local MIT in Mexico. People don't have the resources. They even never probably have the opportunity to see this content. So what we did is that we co-sponsored ETAM and us. We co-sponsored people to come from Politécnico, and this really gave a balance to the teams. And how did this work? It was 2 hours per class, once a week. We had deliverables. It was this sessions and this course was optional. It was not graded, so that was also a big challenge. Even Nomada can tell you, Nomada was provided a lot of pulling and pushing of the team, and since there was no really course grading, it was very hard to really keep engaged during the whole activities that they have and the current university studies. Okay. We had theory, we had cases, and we had demo days as well as coaching. Okay. During the first course that we provided, we had special guests. One, and on the top left, is Enrique de la Madrid. He's a son of an ex-president of Mexico, and he's currently the Secretary of Tourism of the country of Mexico. On the bottom right, we have Marius. And the bottom left, we had Bill Aulet provide culture and leadership through a webinar. And some of the achievements were a lot of the teams that came out have been part of accelerators such as Startup Mexico. Some have been funded by the local government. Other people have gone to study to the U.S. And part of the criteria was to have the course as part of the curriculum. And we have company startups that are now hitting the market. During the ETAM, we did not match on the course's timing and an activity they had. ETAM has a seat in the GFSA, which is a accelerator there in MIT, and we did not match the course start with the selection course and the demo days that GFSA had in Mexico. So even though they were not aligned, we had teams that were part of the final, and they were able to present part of the pitch and part of the ideas with some of the methodology. We had not gone over more than half of the course, but still they went to the finals, which was for us it's an achievement. What we try is really to learn and have them to learn and really teach this methodology correctly. We have challenges, which are the dates, when to start a course, how to select, and have enough people be able to be rigorous on the selection process. Since it's a 3-long course, it's hard for us and hard for the students. We had a lot of dropouts that we know it's part of the normal process because it's very intensive for them. Then the challenge is to be able to adapt the syllabus that we learn at MIT to the local persona, not only to the kind of persona, but to the local persona that exists in Mexico or any part of the world that you have. Ideation, team building are very, very important facts as well. Ideation is not as difficult as team building. Team building in Mexico, there's a no shared culture, so we have to break with that part of culture. And other challenges that we have to overcome is to have the deliverable and team progress, to be able to really have the deliverables and see how the things progress. But since it's a longer course, there is enough time for people to implement them and not only have the theory, but put it really in practice. Okay. And our next steps, obviously, the Mexican Jewish community, another university which is Tec de Monterrey. We're working with accelerators, with VC, co-working. We're trying to have a hybrid bootcamp and longer session. Obviously collaborating with ETAM and with the government. It's important to mention this, that everything that we're doing is non-profit. What we're doing is really to try to be part of the ecosystem, really try to help people and change the way of people doing business and be much more competitive. If we're doing this as a business, well, we would do it differently, but be very selective on the things that we do. The time is a big challenge, so we have to pick our wars. Okay. We cannot obviously say that we have to have fun. Last year we had Bella Led with the Mexican piñata, which is probably the next president of the U.S. So if you don't have fun, you're adding that secret ingredient. Okay. And really what I would like to have everybody decide before questions and answers, probably just 5 minutes. If you guys can just take a piece of paper and see, okay, this slide has on the left all of the different subjects. Intensive, how much pressure, the knowledge, the influence, futures to think, team, culture, networking, a lot of different things or items. Can you see well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And what we did is try to do a comparison. It's not a comparison to see which one's better. There's no better formula. The thing here is really how to make it correctly to impact the daily life and have a good balance. When you guys go back home, you're going to have to choose what kinds of combinations, what kinds of formats. So what I want to do is just say, okay, and on our perspective, is a 3-long course. There's a lot of challenges. 1 week bootcamp, there are a lot of challenges, probably even more. To be so intensive, to be so well planned and such short notice, it's very difficult. And your takeaways. So if you guys can probably just see the the left column and try just 5 minutes. If you can just take your notes, it would be great for you to say, okay, what are the different challenges that you have fresh where you live here in the bootcamp, and how are you going to apply this, and how can things be better? The idea here is really to work together among everybody else, create a good networking based on the teachers, which is not only the networking of students, but it's networking on teachers of how we can improve this and represent this the correct way, the correct MIT formula, and share our knowledge and make this better, to create much more impact than what we think what we can do, which is huge what we can achieve. Okay. So Andrew's gonna just kind of he's gonna go over and since I'm not there, he's gonna mediate this. So 5 minutes, and then we'll go to questions and answers and feedback.
So I guess here really is to look at the comparison between a really short program and some sense of, you know, it was a 3-month-long program, and how you design that to really be aware of the challenges and how to mitigate that. For example, in the first part, that's intensive. A lot of information is not well absorbed. How can you manage that issue, right? So the PDF, the slide is on the Dropbox, and so we can really go look at that at some depth later on, and then how you can formulate or decide what you want to do with specific to these key points that Matteo is pointing out. Does anybody have questions?
Yes, I would like to know, Matteo, did you translate the whole course into Spanish?
Can you hear the question?
No, I'm in translation. My question it's very far.
So the question was, did he translate the course? Did you translate the course into Spanish? For teaching?
We didn't have to translate it since the book's in Spanish. We had edX already in Spanish subtitles. And what we did is the PowerPoint slides, we kept them most in English, but we did translate a lot of PowerPoint slides. But what we did is, we had a challenge here, okay, we thought about it. Should we provide the course in English, or should we provide the course in Spanish? And we said it was going to be much more impact if we provide the course in Spanish. A lot of people would lose out on having it in English, even though we do have most material in Spanish. So we did not have to translate the whole course.
Sorry, is the question on the course of the
Bootcamp, inside the bootcamp, yes.
Okay.
Do they teach in English? Or do they teach
Yeah, it's probably more in Spanish than English, but he did translate the online course.
Yeah, that I understand,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know if you spoke all the lessons.
So all the lessons were in Spanish.
Yeah, correct, everything was Spanish, yes.
Yeah.
So, just some of the material on PowerPoint slides kept in English.
Okay. Okay, great. Erwin.
About the mentors, was
Yeah.
there like a selection process, and was there training for them?
Did you hear the question? No?
No,
Okay, so the question is about the mentors. Was there a training process
And selection.
and selection?
yes, there was. Part of our team, they're professional coaches. Which
Right.
is David and Daniel. They're
So
professional coaches.
do you want to talk a little bit about their
That's the part
background?
that they brought in. Okay, well, Daniel was in my company. I went through an acceleration program, and Daniel was my mentor, personal mentor. It was a 6-long implementation inside my company. So I knew his skills. I brought him in. He studied in not only in Mexico, but he also studied in London, as well as his family background. His mom is the dean of a university. His father is the human resource manager of UNAM, which is the largest Mexican-owned university. So he has a teaching background as well as a lot of coaching skills. And David, he's a professional coach. He's on the board of directors of many large companies in Mexico, and he shares a passion to teach. What I'm doing is I have no idea what I'm doing because I work and I have no teaching skills.
Okay, awesome.
So,
You want?
yeah,
Sure, yeah.
someone from the bootcamp staff that worked with you was not from a previous bootcamp here at MIT, because I know Daniel and what's the other name? They both was at the bootcamp before.
Yeah.
Was someone outside of the bootcamp who worked with you?
Was there any other person outside of the boot camp that was working with you in Mexico?
Yes, there's a lot of people that have their own company, which have either board of directors, general management, or working specific departments, which are part of the mentors that we have. So we have a team of about 20 people, which are mentors, and help out these companies be able to grow.
So did they also have to understand the 24 steps?
Yes, it was hard for them to understand, but yes, they had to understand it correctly.
Okay.
So we had beside of the course that we provided them the full course, more of a personal, and in some cases one-to-one, or step-by-step.
Okay.
That was very challenging.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Ning?
Can you get more in details about how the finance works?
Can you talk about the details of the financial side of your sustainable operation?
Okay. First of all, in the first one, in the Jewish community, we had no cost of venue. We had a zero cost of promotions. The community did everything, so it was at zero cost. And there was a charge of about $800 per person during the 3-month course, and this cost would go to the community. We had no profit there.
So
It was self-financed.
I'm going to ask you a question. How did you ensure that the participants had skin in the game? Skin in the game.
Okay, well, that's what we did. We tried to have people to put money in for them to have much more commitment.
Okay.
And even though they knew that whatever they were paying, it was just a donation, it's something that at the end, whenever you put money out of your pocket, it hurts you or you have some commitment. There were a lot of people, and I can say most of the people went through an interview, another phase, to get to be able to not be charged. So it was people that needed the opportunity, they do not have the money, but they had a grant.
Okay. Ray?
And I can tell you, based also on part of our experiment, a lot of people that did have a grant dropped out. So your question is correct, Andrew.
So Ning was asking, so you didn't raise any money because it's primarily nonprofit, correct?
Exactly.
Right. So anybody?
Yeah, what were the details of how much of all the things that MIT helped with?
So what role did MIT play, and how did we help? I don't specifically remember.
Okay, well, I can say MIT was key to everything. First of all, to have the full support, to have all the material, to have all the questions. I had a lot of questions that came during the course, which were asked through Chichu, through Andrew, through Bill, through Elaine. It was impressive, the support. For example, we had a course on primary market research, which Elaine took the time and gave kind of like the whole speech, the whole acting, the whole slides, the whole material, everything, so I can just really learn the course or learn the material that she sent, and I could apply it perfectly as if I were Elaine. Well, not as well as Elaine, but it was very easy to be able to apply it. Then MIT shared all of the past experience on how they did the recruiting, what are the questions, questions such as, for example, do you have any family members, and are you and if the person is the oldest one, if it's the oldest one, they thought, okay, it's a more disciplined person. So there was a lot of insight on the behind of how to do things, how to make the work, the mistakes that were made, and this sharing was incredible. I can see no school, no institution that can share mistakes such as MIT. So out of all the experience, good and bad from MIT, this is the learning that we take in. So it's amazing how much support we've had to make this work. If it was not for MIT, we have not been able to do nothing of the course.
Richard.
Was that support all behind the scenes, or was a co-branding of MIT allowed in your promotional material?
So was there co-branding, or was all support behind the scenes?
It was. We did use MIT's experience, but everything went through MIT. So I can tell you that this is a big challenge, and as times go by and there's more teachers, if you leverage using MIT, but if it's not done correctly, we will affect MIT. We will affect our reputation, so everything has to go through MIT. If you provide a certificate, if you provide a promotion, whatever material you do, you have to go through MIT to validate if you're allowed to use it or not. If not, we will be taking advantage of something that will get out of control, and we will, instead of doing a great ecosystem and great teaching, we will affect everything.
So how have you got that running, Andrew, now?
Case by case basis. One of the things that we specifically say is you can acknowledge us as your knowledge partner. Right. That's what we've done so far.
Sorry, what was the question? Is
The acknowledge, like what role does MIT play in terms of the.
What process is in place if you want to run an event like Matteo has? How do you go about it? Who do you contact?
Yeah,
In
can
the
we use
team.
logos? Is there materials that we can access?
logo's a bit tricky because what we communicated to Matteo is if he can use the Bootcamp team's
Yeah.
logo, which is like half the dough, half
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is, the reason why we came up with that logo originally is if you use the MIT logo, it runs through TLO, or the Technology and Licensing Office. And given that we had to organize the bootcamp in such a short amount of time originally, by the time we got the approval from TLO, the bootcamp would have been over. So with respect to the logo, I think like, if Matteo, do you have a slide of the certificate that
Yeah.
you gave on this deck?
No, I don't have the certificate on the deck, but I can send it,
So,
Yeah.
and you can share with them later.
so it was a conversation that we had with Matteo where we explained the difficulties of, using the MIT logo. There's actually a lot of bureaucracy involved. So we said, look, what is it you really want? Is it like the use of the MIT logo, or is it you just want like an acknowledgement that, MIT is supporting you? We agreed to use our team's logo, and he put it on the certificate to say that this is a, actually, I don't even
It
remember what it
said something like knowledge
was.
partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I.
But there's not really been a process because after the first boot camp, probably 4 or 5 people approached us about running a boot camp, but Matteo was the only one that really
Yeah.
pulled it off.
And I think going forward, really, it's all about the relationship that we maintain, and it'd be great for us to know what's going on as opposed to like, oh well, Bill heard something from somewhere, and stuff happens like, who did that?
So in terms of like materials, so
Yeah.
the logo part, but actually teaching materials, like.
So you
I
have
think it's-
you have access to all the teaching materials. Bill
Yeah,
shared.
like, should we run by you first before actually?
Well, you're running the program, right? Like so,
Yeah.
unless you're running.
Quality control.
Well, again, you're running the program. I guess, at least from my opinion, I think you would know best how to design and structure it. I don't know if you.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, we didn't really sit in on Mateo's
Yeah.
boot camp because neither of us understand Spanish. Like, I don't know what, even if like he showed it to us, I'm not too sure what
Yeah.
we could have really.
Well, I
offered.
mean, we saw the material, but like but this is a good segue into our afternoon AMA for deeper insight. So, Matteo, do you have any other closing comments or thoughts, suggestions, recommendations?
What I would like, and it's Sally that now she's taking care of the communication. If we can, as teachers, we can be in communication and we can help the improving of teaching. There's a lot of challenges that we have to overcome, and we have to make this better. So if we have a teaching community, we will create a much more impact than if we try to just take the learning in 3 weeks and then just apply it, make a lot of mistakes, and not to help each other. So I think we have to create this to be able to create a much more impact on our communities.
So just one point on that. One of the things we were looking at was helping MIT with some structure around with an education arm within the MIT alumni, which could do that, but it would have to have someone who wanted to volunteer to
Yeah.
coordinate it all.
Right. I mean, just specific to yesterday's comment from Bill about the EF.io website.
That as well.
And like, I mean, as the teacher community grows, I think really it's about feeding it back into the system, what works, what doesn't work, the pitfalls.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay.
And also the team at MIT, Chicho, Dean, Elaine, Andrew, they don't have a lot of time to invest on us. So we should work together, and we cannot let them out of the loop. It's very important for them to be involved in everything we do, but we have to make this teaching community much more stronger.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else have any last things to ask questions or to say stuff? Anything? All right. Well, thank you, Matteo. Thank you for your time. All right.
Taking advantage of this bootcamp.
Okay. So lunch.